And we are live. Let's get the show started with this.
And the Pope came out with a book this week, which contains a series of essays examining faith and morality in today's secular world and the changing role of the Catholic Church as it approaches the 21st century. The book is entitled, God Himself Told Me That O.J. is Guilty. In other book news, Prince Charles released an autobiography in which he states that he never loved Princess Di and that his father pressured him to marry her. The book is entitled, Of Course O.J. Did It. I mean, come on.
O.J. Simpson, dead at the age of 76.
76.
Rest in hell, O.J.
Oh my God. Well, that would have been like I was like 5 when the trial was going on, but I do remember when he was acquitted.
When was the trial? The trial was, I was in college, and I remember coming home in high school, and the Bronco chase was going on. Like, that was some wild shit. Like,
I don't remember that.
It. Hello, Twitter world.
I don't remember that.
Hello, Twitter.
I remember, oh God, I was listening to those podcasts on the Oklahoma City bombing, and I remember that. That was a big one. I think I was like 4. Did that happen in 1994? Was it 1995?
I thought it was the early 90s. No, Clinton was president, so I thought it was like 93, 94.
I want to say it was 94. I remember that one a little bit. I remember hearing about it in the news, and I was 4.
You would have been old enough to remember the O.J. saga, because like the murder happened in 94, but he didn't go to trial till like 2 years later. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think it was like 95, 96. So yeah, I remember that.
And then the riots, LA riots, of course. No.
Yeah.
No, the LA riots were Rodney King.
Yep, way earlier. So my parents, I've talked about this before. My parents used to live in Los Angeles. That's where they met. And they left in 88. Okay. So I moved to Kentucky before I was born. Yeah, like it's just kind of wild, like, you know, this like pop culture kind of coming full circle. Because like Norm Macdonald, I think, passed away in 2021? 3?
No.
Was it?
No, a couple of years, maybe 22. Oh, Jesus, let me just look it up. Hang on.
I think he was around for the pandemic.
Norm Macdonald. Wikipedia. 21, September 2021. Oh, wow.
Okay.
Right. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, rest in peace, Norm. Fuck OJ.
You know, he was fired over OJ jokes, right? Like he was fired from SNL because he was ripping on OJ.
One of the execs got pissed at him for doing it, and he's like, "Nah,"
because he's friends with OJ.
Like, fuck you, man. Like OJ killed him. And this is the funny thing: Norm would go on shows like The View and other shows and Barbara Walters and be like, no, OJ killed her. And they'd be like, no, Norm, you can't say. He's like, what? She did. He did it. Just be like,
and the thing is like everyone knows that OJ killed them.
Absolutely. Like 100%.
Like, okay, so what you saw the Mark Lamont tweet, right?
I did see that. Technically he was correct because it was the trial. Because he's a lawyer too, Lamont Hill, right? Isn't he? But I don't want to get too into it. But let me pull it up on Twitter. What the hell did he say?
Yeah, let's pull this one up because it was
hang on.
I fucking died reading that. Like,
Mark, there he is. I just lost him. Hang on, Mark Lamont Hill. Okay, I send my Wait,
no, O.J. Simpson was an abusive liar who abandoned his community long before he killed 2 people in cold blood. His acquittal for murder was the correct and necessary result of a racist criminal legal system.
Right,
but he was still a monster, not a martyr.
Wait a minute. Where is that the original? I can't. I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah. So he's just saying the state did a lousy job prosecuting him, not that he.
The state actually did a lousy job of prosecuting.
You know, that's why I think when I originally read it, I was like,
the thing is that OJ was fucking guilty.
Yeah,
he killed guilty. 2 people. He was guilty, and I do remember the response after his acquittal. Like,
yeah. No, and people who said, no, he didn't do it at the time, even now you'll ask him like, yeah, they don't. He totally did it. He totally did it.
Like he fucking did it.
Yeah,
and it's
garbage human, and well, now he's gonna go, he'll rest in hell. All right.
I do have to say one last thing on that. The Satan on Twitter, the Satan account was just like, oh, here he comes.
Well, Satan's got a good sense of humor.
Yeah, well, you got to when you are the king of the underworld, right?
Yeah, Prince of Darkness. You got to look at the light side of things. So, big news last Saturday. Down the street from me at the Marriott in Burlington, which I should have gone over there. It was like 6 hours long. The state committee met, and it's down the street from me.
Have they opened up meetings? Are people allowed to go now?
I think you can hang around the outside and stuff and sort of just pop. You can't go into the meeting unless you're part of the committee and whatnot. But I think people were hanging out in the lobby, and there's rooms because there's press there and all that kind of stuff. Some good news. Amy Carnevale, I won't say won re-election because it wasn't an election, but like the freaks that made it onto the state committee, we're trying to do I guess somewhat of, I don't know what it's called exactly, but essentially a vote of no confidence, right? You can bring it up like midterm because the chair's term for the party is 2 years, and it's every odd year. She won handily, 47-25.
Gained votes, yep.
And the 25 freaks, they want to go back to the world of losing and being broke and sucking their thumb and pissing their pants about every dumbass thing and fighting, punching right instead of beating Democrats. So good. Congratulations, Amy. Fuck the 25 people that voted for him, voted against her. But 47-25. This is why I ran for state committee, because I helped, I helped them, the other committee people who helped widen the margin by getting them to spend money against me, the other side to spend money against me, which is money not allocated to seats we won. And then it went from, I think Amy won like 39, 37, something like that 2 years ago, to jump up to 47-25.
Right.
Awesome.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yep. She gained votes, which is awesome.
Right.
Again, the state party needs to be going in the right direction. They held this vote, and it was stupid. And we just need to start moving forward because, again, this is a big election year. I recently attended my Republican Town Committee meeting. And, right now it's hard because we all know that Donald Trump is going to be on the ballot, getting people to run for elected office. And so Amy's going to have her work cut out for her. They're going to have to work hard. They've got new people on the executive committee that helps out as well. I think fresh blood will help.
More normals got elected.
More normals were put on the executive committee. Good. So yeah, we need to put people on those ballots. We need to get good people to run. So we're still headed in the right direction. We're just not totally there yet, which, it is work in progress. That's kind of what I expected.
So one quick note here. We saw this National Committee man, Ron Kaufman. The election for that took place, and he lost 37-35 to Brad Wyatt. So I tweeted about this. I sent a note to Ron, but let me just say this publicly. Ron, great guy, helped me, and has helped so many candidates in Massachusetts, has done just a phenomenal job, is an amazing Republican, a great American, advisor to George H.W. Bush, advisor to Romney, made it to the upper echelon of American politics and truly moved this country in a better direction. And
through his work too.
Yeah.
The first time I ever met him, he handed me a pair of rainbow GOP socks.
And just always just
such a nice,
friendly and a nice guy, but also like a guy you want on your team, because he's just like, when you want it, when the shit got thick, it's like he could be a killer, and he could, and and he cut your kneecaps out, but your kneecaps needed to get cut off, basically. But let me say this. Ron, he served the position well for over 3 decades. Great Republican, even better American. And, I wish him the absolute best. And let me say this to the new National Committee man, Brad Wyatt, best of luck. This is an important position. You're on the National Committee. Beat Democrats. That is the thing. Okay,
that's your only role.
That's the job.
That's all he expects. And we don't want to hear you calling people rhinos or any shit.
I don't think Brad will.
Just beat Democrats. And I don't know who this guy is. We want him to follow up Ron's lengthy tenure in this role in a good way that moves the party forward and makes good decisions for the party overall. Your vote on the National Committee is important. Even though you're one of many, it matters. And so,
everybody deserves a chance to succeed, and I want to succeed. And the measure of success is beating Democrats. That's it, and doing well in that role. So, best of luck, Godspeed. Yep. And that is meant with all sincerity. It's good to have some fresh blood in there. So hopefully some new energy comes in there and it gets the job done.
Yep.
All right. Moving on to all things Mass Poly. Governor Healey is not having a good couple of weeks.
No, she's not.
I tweeted about this. I don't know if you caught this a couple weeks ago.
She's such a weirdo. I'm sorry. I don't understand how people like this broad. Like, I find her completely, I said it on the Patreon, I find her completely unrelatable. She is so weird, awkward, and robotic. And she just keeps on saying things that I don't like with immigration, with abortion, that's just like super far left. And it's like,
she has the unfortunate reality of not growing up in, like, I'll say, just with any kind of Swiftian normality, to borrow the phrase from Edmund Smurf.
Swiftian normality.
But in reality, it's like she says things like, after the riots of 2020, it's like, well, but everything was on fire. It's like, well, fires are how forests grow. I'm like, for your brain to think that and it to leave your lips, something's the matter with you.
Was she actually good at basketball when she played?
She can spin it on one finger. I've seen her, she's like 5'5", so like can't be like, no offense to anybody 5'5", but no matter.
No, I know you should take offense. You're short at 5'5".
Yeah,
men, you're just a short kid.
You might have a good handle. You might be a good point guard, but you might even have a decent shot, but that shot's going to get blocked a lot by very tall people who are just going to get a hand in your face.
I am one of the talls, so Same. Jeff, you're gigantic as well. I am 5'11", and you've got to be 6'5", 6'6", right?
I am just under 6'5". Yeah. So look. The funny thing about that is, like, you can play basketball and be totally normal, but it's like there is this cringe factor with her and a lot of Democrat politicians where they do things that some dork that they hired tells them to do, who also is socially awkward. And you know, when that ocean spray cranberry juice thing on the skateboard a few years ago when she was running.
Oh, yeah.
There's that. But agreeing to do things like that and then saying the things you say, like in the immigration crisis when that poor girl was raped a few weeks ago, and you utter the phrase, even if you didn't mean to, like, things happen. It's like,
no, they don't actually. Things don't just happen like this. Like, that is a horrifying crime. It is a horrifying crime.
And it is largely, I mean, first of all, the responsibility lies on the criminal. All right. They are liable for it. But when you put the conditions in place, literally set the conditions for the crime to happen, there's a level of responsibility there. Because if you had a conservative Republican policy of not, you know, enabling and attracting illegal immigrants here, it's less likely to occur. There must be some internal polling numbers that are shocking her and the Democratic establishment right now, because I was watching YouTube a week or two ago, and a campaign ad, a legit campaign ad, came up about her bragging about tax cuts. You know, it's April. This was March of 2024. She doesn't get elected until November of, or not, next election is November of 26.
I mean, she's got a lot of money in the bank. She does have a lot of money in the bank, so she can spend it. But because, you know, we put up somebody who was never going to beat her.
Yeah.
What a choice. And, you know, with Healey, as I said, she's completely unrelatable, and it's to the point where I think that she's like Mayor Wu, just awkward as fuck. Like, these women are awkward as fuck.
Yeah.
They're not relatable. They're like weirdo liberals, and I just can't relate to that because, like, I'm a center-right normal, okay?
Right.
My other issue with these broads is like Healey, like with the migrant the rape situation, along with immigration overall, because the state is like paying a lot of money in tax money, where we had a surplus before, and now we're going to go into a deficit because of this issue, because they're spending out the fucking wazoo housing all of these migrants when they could be, I don't know, allowing ICE to deport them.
Well, there's another,
or send them away. You know, like, my thing is like their immigration is completely broken. This is for another episode.
Yeah, no, but this is important. There's two instances now, and this is really important, and I want to bring this up. There are two instances now of federal authorities tracking down child rapists, one in Essex County, a couple in Essex County, and one in Middlesex County.
I live in Essex County.
And I live in Middlesex County, where federal authorities have had to track down and arrest the offenders because they were actually in custody by state and local authorities, but were not held for the federal authorities to come and seize and deport them. So they were, I don't want to speak necessarily out of turn, but I think in the Essex County case, they were let go and were not held for the federal authorities. Somebody's making this call. And let me tell you, between now and Election Day in November 26, I'm going to do my best to find out who's responsible for making those calls. Because there's going to be a concerted effort by, and I can pretty much promise you, the Republican Party of Massachusetts, to get these names out there. And if your policy is behind it, and there's an email trail or there's some kind of evidence that there are decisions that are being made that are making this happen, holy shit, you will be famous, and not in a good way. This is insanity. If you believe in these policies, you're a little off. You're crazy. Now, you know, they're all, the past week or two, Elizabeth Warren, another cringy person, you know.
We're also awkward as fuck. All these liberal women, they're awkward as fuck. They have no personality. Like, it's so forced, right, Jeff? It is very much forced.
They're weird. Like, she was on the... she's
on
her...
They wear weird jewelry. It's always the same fucking haircut. Like, right?
Yeah.
Like, am I stepping out of line here? Like, it is strange.
No, it's pretty standard. And
I've talked about the weird liberal, like, women, what they wear. It's always the same. It's always the same.
They're right out of Central Casting.
Yeah.
They look, I mean, they look exactly like you expect them to look. They say what they say. It's very odd. And coming from somebody who, you know, to be fanatical about abortion, and I kudos to the progressive left nowadays, because back in the 80s and 90s when you were just a youngin', the left was very good about wordsmithing and changing the language of what they really meant, right? They were very good about hiding it. They say, you know, they would say reproductive rights, but now they're just like, nope. We want abortion everywhere. We're going to run on abortion, 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 abortion. It's like, I know you think that that's going to work and scare everybody. And it might. There's a point to it. I mean, it sort of works if you scare enough. But eventually, like Trump, if you keep the same tactic over and over again, it loses its effectiveness. But also, you come off like an absolute freak, because people in the normal world, whatever their views on abortion, they kind of don't like talking about abortion. It's
an
uncomfortable subject, and you're forcing it down their throats.
Right. Like, you don't want to talk about money. You don't want to talk about abortion in the normal world with people. Like, this is like a debate you'll have with, like, maybe your group of friends that you're super comfortable with. Like, I don't want to hear Maura Healey talk about abortion. First of all, she's not relatable. Second of all, like, she's not going to ever be relatable to me on abortion. She's just not. I do want to say, as you know, we talk about, like, the weird elected people in Massachusetts. We talk about Maura Healey. There's a lot of elected, like, positions that are kind of, like, not really well known around the state of Massachusetts. And we do have a Republican who is running for governor's council. And what governor's council does is it advises the governor on appointments. Let me read off.
Is that an election this year?
I think so. So the governor's council provides advice and consent on gubernatorial appointments, pardons, you know, when you commute a sentence, and warrants for the state treasury. We have a Republican around me who is running for it. And we need all Republicans in the state of Massachusetts, or at least in this district, it's District 5, to vote for Ann Manning Martin, who is a counselor at large in Peabody.
Okay.
So I just want to throw that out
North
there.
Shore, Essex County area. Okay.
Yep, North Shore, Essex County. If you're listening, we're voting for her. Okay, District 5. It represents 36 cities.
That's a lot. Yeah, they pick. Basically, you get to approve the judges.
Yep.
That's it.
We need a Republican. We need Republicans in these seats. Okay.
Yeah. There's going to be. I think, in spite of Trump being at the top of the ticket, I think in Massachusetts there's actually going to be the opportunity to gain a couple of seats. Now, I'm not shooting the moon here, believe me. I know and realizing it, but there might be some opportunity in key areas because of the climate. You know, I don't. There's a weird thing that I think the ideology of progressives like Healey and Wu, where they have gotten away with so much their whole lives and pretty much have coasted. I'm going to say that. Yeah, I think that's fair. Like, and now Maura Healey
hardly ran a campaign last cycle.
Hardly ran a campaign for governor, really won attorney general with a breeze. You know, this is an executive position now. You don't get to just, you know, talk about lawsuits, right? You actually have to do stuff and know what you're doing. And the budget,
yeah,
you know,
and when
we
you
have over
pipelines for natural gas because you decide to be enviro-fascist freak.
Yeah. And then you have Mayor Wu, who's like in complete denial about the budget shortfall of Boston. And so much so, it's like, doesn't understand, like, so Boston is on the precipice, I'll say this, of what they're calling the urban doom loop, right? And this is happening
what does that mean?
Okay, good question. The urban doom loop is this cycle that we're noticing across the country. Now, it's not unique to Boston. So this is the economic climate. Since COVID, more and more office workers are working from home. So commuting and travel into the cities and living in the cities is just not as active. And this is all over the place. So, companies are not renting out office space. Mm-hmm. These buildings are half empty. It depends on the type of building. Some of them are completely full, but others are half empty. Mm-hmm. Landlords are having a tougher time finding tenants, and employees are like, employers keep trying. Oh, you got to come back in the office full time, and everybody's just like, no, why? And they're leaving. They're like leaving. Like,
they're using it as a job benefit. I know what you're talking about. And
employees should stay strong on this, because I'm with it too. It's just like, I have the type of job where I'm lucky. I can sit at a desk. I work on a computer. Sometimes I do need to go in the office and have some meetings, but in reality, most of my job is this. I'm in front of a computer, typing at a keyboard, working on stuff, and you don't really need to be in an office necessarily to do that. Now, it's important for team building, for conferences, for whatever you're working on as a team. You might need that, but the need for office space is just less and less and less. It just is. So the property values of all of these buildings are going down, and the assessed value of these buildings is correspondingly going down, and you can only tax on the assessed value of the building, so tax revenue is going to go down. Now, there's now going to be a shortfall in the city of Boston, and Mayor Wu's like, well, we'll just raise the property taxes on the commercial real estate.
That does not work.
Which will discourage other companies even more so from renting out office space in the city. And then one side of her mouth, she's saying that, and then when presented with these budget shortfalls, you read it even in the Globe, who was like, "Nuh-uh, it's not going to happen. There's no shortfall." It's just like, what the fuck's the matter with you? You should be like, this is where ideology trumps your own interest. Where the progressive ideology, the only thing, because it's not logical. It's not even in the interest of self-preservation these people act in. Because this is, a good candidate can come along and wipe you out of office, and then you're not mayor anymore. And you're not being a very good mayor and now, so why not? But the problem you have is that businesses need to build and move and grow. And if you're inhibiting that by creating new bureaucracies that block business growth, if you essentially, here's the thing, I suspect it's this progressive mindset that capitalism is bad. We're going to do everything we can to destroy it, and everybody will be equally poor. I mean, maybe it's not that outwardly.
But you can't do that in a city, like an urban city like Boston. Like, the thing is like,
they'll succeed.
Or you can't even do it in any city. You have to have like pretty common sense budgetary moves. Like, it's not like money is a finite resource. Like, none of this, what is it? The monetary blah, blah, blah theory. None of this bullshit. Like, that's not real. So like, you can't tax the commercial side of things when they're not even coming in, and it doesn't make sense. The revenue is not going to be there. When you do budget projections on like revenue based on tax income, like, it has to go like this, or it's not going to make sense. Democrats who don't understand math and fight over dumb stuff and make stupid tax Jeff, I could go on this for hours, but when you look at a budget and you're going to see a shortfall, like you are going to see a shortfall. These people, even Democrats who work on the budget, they see the shortfall. They irresponsibly, like, ignore it. She knows she is kind of dumb, but she's not that.
But Mayor Wu,
she's too ideological.
Yeah, but she's very ideological, so she'll commit to this. But Healey has already announced hiring freezes. This is the problem. It's like they get a big bloated budget when they walk through the door, and then after the fact, they have shortfalls.
Healey had a surplus.
Yeah, but they spent like
talking about, lady, and now we had
like crazy.
You want a budget. Here's my thing, Jeff. This is a state politics rant right now. Okay, you all won on the ballot this millionaires tax that was supposed to come in and bring in revenue for the state. Okay, that's what the purpose was. I forgot when it really takes effect.
It's already in effect. They're already spending it on the T, which is the next big mistake.
Well, the T is like a.
It's a sunk cost fallacy, but we'll
it's a sunk.
I'm gonna write a whole thing on this.
Jeff, you can write on it, but it's just like you won on the ballot on this. You had a surplus when you came in. Why did you have a surplus? Because Baker was governor and he's a smart individual, and you're a dumb individual who just spends money and tries to put things on a credit card. When you had a surplus, and now because of all the immigration stuff, because we're dealing with it in Massachusetts of all places, because you all decided, you liberals decided to create all these sanctuary cities, and you're putting these people here.
Driver's license.
We're spending driver's license, which is a form of ID. All of these people are coming, and the state is spending on this. So you went from a surplus to a deficit. That is not good. Guess who's going to have to pay for that deficit? It's not the millionaires. I'm not a millionaire. It's going to be you and fucking me, Jeff.
Yeah.
We're going to have to pay it because you're sitting here bragging about a tax cut when it doesn't make sense because you overspent. So I'm going to have a tax increase next year.
Yeah.
We all know this is going to happen. Fuck you, people. I am so done. Sorry, I'm going on another little rant.
No, but look, a lot of people are going to watch this, and the people we want to watch it are going to watch it.
But these weirdo electrons don't listen to average people. They listen.
They listen to the activists. I went to my
town committee. We talked about the town budget. We didn't talk about state because honestly, the state one would just make everybody in the room angry, and they would be like me ranting. But again, if you go from a surplus before when you started off as governor, and now you have a deficit, the people who do get screwed is not the millionaires. It's not the rich people who are upper middle class. It is the middle class people like Jeff and I who are going to get fucked. We are going to have to pay more in taxes because these people cannot make coherent decisions and make it with their bleeding hearts that just cannot. It makes me angry.
Let me tell you something. Re-election is no guarantee. Okay, for Maura Healey.
And if we find somebody sane and normal,
we're looking. Well, I got an email. Coincidentally, it was a generic, hey, I'm still alive email, but Chris Doty. Timing after Saturday's meeting was this week was somewhat particular. So, just like, hey, here's what I'm up to. I think last year the dastardly plan of Jim Lyons was to start taking over the Republican town committees so they could stack the convention and for I guess Rick Green is eyeing the governor's office. Good luck on that. I think you're going to have an issue. Especially after this debacle, where it's just like you gotta be a team player if you want to move upwards in any kind of politics. I mean, Democrat or Republican. But I think there's other candidates out there that may throw their hat in the ring. Let me say this though, that it's ripe for the picking. She's incredibly weak, and we knew she was going to be weak because she didn't have any challenge even getting into the office.
But now in Massachusetts, immigration is now an actual problem, right? Like in Texas, In Texas, immigration is a huge problem because they're a border state. In Arizona is a huge problem because they're a border state. In Southern California, you see a lot of conservatives down there around San Diego because, you know, the border. In New Mexico, the same. Okay. We went from a surplus to a deficit because of housing migrants. The immigration stuff is affecting me and Jeff and our future tax rates because our governor is just such a moron. Well, she's not a she's a bleeding
but also, this is the thing here. It's like they think they do such cringy shit. I'm gonna show I'm showing this on screen for the audience. You know, St. Patrick's Day, they dressed up in those Duncan jumpsuits that Ben Affleck and Matt Damon had. You know, her and the lieutenant governor. I'll send you I'll send you the link.
So the lieutenant governor of Massachusetts used to be my mayor in Salem. I have never really gone off on Kim Driscoll. Have I on the podcast, Jeff? Right?
Well, you know, no, but
so let me go. So as we're talking about weird elected officials in the state of Massachusetts. I used to live in Salem.
Right, she's weird too. She's really weird too. Like awkward.
She is fucking weird and strange. Okay. So first of all, I used to live in Salem. If Chris and I had had kids and they had been in the Salem school district, they would have been in private school. You want to know why? We went through 2 superintendents in the Salem public schools that were not qualified for the job, and she helped hire them. So that means that when they were going through the interview process, the school board and Mayor Driscoll did not check to see if they were credentialed. Twice.
I'm guessing
this happened twice. This happened twice in less than 4 years.
Yeah, this is the other thing. It's like a lot of these people have just said the right buzzwords in the right groups and gotten elected, and they're not qualified to do it. So,
and she also fucked up post-COVID Halloween one year with like the craziest bullshit that you could possibly do as mayor. People were coming. Salem at Halloween gets nuts, Jeff, and it only got worse over the course I lived there. And we left last year that my husband and I were there. We left because Halloween was so crazy. She put out the regs late. It was insanity. And part of the problem was her office not being clear on what was going on. And this woman is now the lieutenant governor of Massachusetts.
She's the cringiest.
Plus other things that I will not say on the podcast.
She's the cringiest. Driscoll is. Healey is a close second behind her. And Mayor Wu is she's weird, but not as cringy, right? She's awkward. She more on the awkward side, who just like socially just does not know how to deal with people or know what she's doing. And you know, this is something that where I think if you're raised and build your career in a progressive bubble, you're not ready for the real world. You're just not. I mean, even look at the West Coast at Gavin Newsom. The guy thinks he's fucking killing it. He thinks he's doing a grand old job, and because he's never had to face the consequences for failure after failure after failure. And hopefully in 2 years, the voters of Massachusetts will come to their senses, and we can give them a good alternative to vote for.
Yes, I'm hoping.
Because that's a big part of it too.
Please help us.
Yeah,
save us from this cringe.
Yeah. So, and I'm confident we'll get somebody decent in there, and hopefully get some sanity back in the Commonwealth. All right.
Yeah.
That's it for our weird politicians. Please join us on the Patreon.
That's more. I mean, we could do an entire episode on Ed Markey, but we chose to only discuss this time around.
So go to patreon.com/RINOpod. We talked about Maura Healey's and Elizabeth Warren's favorite subject, abortion. So
Yeah.
only $1 a month. And we talked about the politics of that. So head on over there. But look, we thank you to our Patreon supporters. We'll see you in a week or so. A little early weekend edition for this, and that's it. All right. Enjoy your spring break if you're going on one. Enjoy your time off, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.